Greetings, off-worlders and Fremen. Welcome back. I've finally found a permanent place where I can broadcast these secret transmissions. It is far in the deep and dangerous southern desert. It takes more than one worm ride to get here. This place is safe from the prying eyes of the Guild. The Imperium with their legions of soldiers and thopters could not find me, and I'm especially protected from the treacherous and vile Harkonnen scum. Welcome to Siege Bata. As promised, today we are going to be reviewing two more video games from the Dune universe, the Dune MUD and Emperor Battle for Dune. Dune MUD. Before we talk about Dune MUD specifically, let's talk about MUDs in general. A MUD, multi-user dungeon, is a type of online multiplayer game that is entirely text-based. Players interact with a virtual world and with each other by typing commands into a command prompt. The game's interface consists of textual descriptions of the environment and its inhabitants, along with prompts and menus for entering commands. MUDs typically have a fantasy or science fiction themed setting, often with elements of magic or technology. The world is made up of interconnected rooms, each with its own description, and players can move from room to room by typing movement commands, usually north, south, east, west, up, down, and so on. The game may also have non-player characters that populate the world and can provide quests, information, and other interaction. Players create their own character with a customizable set of attributes and abilities, such as strength, intelligence, and various skills. These characters can then engage in combat with monsters or other players, either solo or in groups. Combat is turn-based and typically involves typing commands to attack, defend, or use spells or other special abilities. In addition to combat, MUDs often have a variety of other gameplay elements, such as crafting, trading, and social interaction with other players. Players can form groups or guilds to work towards common goals and may engage in player versus player combat to gain resources or territory. MUDs are typically run on dedicated servers by volunteer administrators or wizards who create and manage the game world and its rules. Some MUDs may have a small fee for membership or offer in-game purchases for virtual items or perks. Dune MUD is, as the name suggests, set in the Dune universe. I would say it's mainly based on the books, but takes its environmental descriptions from the 1984 movie. It was initially released in 1992 and has since transferred servers a couple of times and has received numerous upgrades. As the player, you create an account, then a character, then you select your house. You are then taken to a training academy where you are taught the basics of how to complete certain actions such as talking to people in your immediate area and in the global chat channel. Your guide during this time is a holographic mentat who teaches you the commands for moving, looking at specific things, using emotes, and combat. You can dismiss him at any time, but unless you at least have played MUDs in the past, I don't suggest it. Then you move on to combat where you attack and kill a training droid. After you've completed the training, you're instructed on how to assign your skill points to become more proficient in the skills in the game, such as weapons, crafting, scavenging, and first aid. Your experience helps you to level up, which gives you a little more of each of the attributes and skill points that you spend like above. And finally, you are taught how to travel amongst the many worlds in the Dune MUD universe. One thing you will notice is that there is a consequence to dying in combat. If you die, every item you had on you at the time of your death is left in your body at your death location, and you respawn at a designated area called an axle tank. You also lose half of the experience you had collected in order to progress to your next level. You can retrieve your body, assuming you can find your way back to where you were, and are able to avoid what killed you in the first place. If you can't, a lot of times you can probably ask a wizard for help, and they will usually either get you to your body and or help you with the thing that killed you. I spent several months off and on for years playing Dune MUD and was actually surprised to find it still running about 10 years ago. So it wasn't as much of a surprise to find that it was still running last week when I started a new character. What I did find surprising were the upgrades that had been done. The training area had been reworked. There were several events added, such as a global egg hunt that is really only playable by the highest level players because of their ability to practically go anywhere they want. And Discord support was added, so a player can actually interact with other players not in-game through the in-game chat on Discord and vice versa. As there are no graphics, seeing the world in front of you is your responsibility based on the description given to you, and you'll need to keep a map of your travels. There are several MUD clients, these are programs made to play MUDs with, that have built-in mappers that can help with this. So let's talk mechanics. Graphics. This should be short. There are none. Your graphics card is your mind. The game gives you a description of the room you're in. If you want to visualize it, you must imagine it. I know, imagination's such a big word. Combat. Combat is simple. You find an NPC you want to attack, and if you can, you type kill and the name of the NPC. Each action from you is given a chance for a counter action by the enemy. Your health and the health of the enemy is tracked during each action description. I would suggest the consider command before attacking in the beginning level so as not to spend a lot of time dying. This command allows you to compare yourself to your intended enemy and will tell you if it stands a chance or not. However, attack success and damage are based on your stats and a random roll. So some enemies that the consider command says you may not be able to take, you will find that you can. If you have the patience to play a totally text-based game and play it mostly solo because there are very few new players coming to any MUD, I do suggest this game. I had a lot of fun dumping hours and hours into it. The higher level players and wizards seem to be very knowledgeable in the game and Dune in general, and were usually very helpful. One wizard even offered to help me try and find my old character from years ago so I didn't have to start over. I'll put a link to the official website in the description below if you would like to check it out for yourself. Emperor Battle for Dune. Emperor Battle for Dune is a real-time strategy in the spirit of Command and Conquer. After all, it was made by the same studio, Westwood. It was released in 2001 on 4 CD-ROM discs. There are full video scenes that go along with the campaign mode using some known actors from the sci-fi world such as Michael Dorn and Vincent Schiavelli. I hope I pronounced his name properly. Emperor Battle for Dune is set shortly after Dune 2000, which I will cover in a later video. Emperor Carino has been killed by his concubine, Lady Alara, and the Landsraad has been thrown into chaos. The Spacing Guild has presented the 3 remaining houses, the same as those in the previous games, House Atreides, House Harkonnen, and House Ordos, with a unique challenge, a war of assassins on the planet Arrakis. Whichever house wins the war will become the new leader of the Landsraad, and its leader the new Padishah Emperor, Emperor of the known universe. During the campaign, the Talaxu are scouring Arrakis with hidden motives, sending various probes that are spotted collecting flesh samples from dead worms. After the last battle with any one of the opponent houses on their home planet, the Spacing Guild leaves the victorious house stranded on the enemy's conquered homeworld, attempting to control Arrakis with House Talaxu by genetically engineering an Emperor worm with immense psychic powers empowered by Lady Alara. They release a mind-influencing drug in the remaining force's water supply on Arrakis to make them slaves under the Guild. A last-ditch attempt must be made back on Arrakis to destroy the Emperor worm before he awakes by using the Smugglers Guild to get back to Arrakis. The Emperor worm is destroyed and the Guild's plan is foiled. The victorious house regains control of Arrakis and the spice melange and proclaims their side's leader Emperor of Dune. On easy mode, the campaign is pretty simple to complete. I do, however, suggest that you play the campaign in order to gain an understanding of how the buildings and units of each faction work, so when you play skirmishes, you don't have to learn on the fly. If you are playing skirmishes, even on easy, be ready for a brawl. Something I noticed while playing is that the enemy will almost constantly throw units at you as fast as it can make them. My usual tactic of fighting a purely defensive war until I can muster the troops to systematically take my opponents off the map didn't work very well, because defensive buildings, while mostly effective, were constantly in need of being repaired or replacement, and my resources grew very low very quickly. It was honestly a welcome, if not annoying, change from what I was used to playing most RTSs that I've played over the years. Mechanics. Graphics. So let's talk about graphics. Yeah, graphics are actually pretty amazing. I had to do some complicated things to get the game running because of the fact that the game is 22 years old and the graphics are made for GPUs from then, not now. Plus, I don't exactly own the game, so downloads and workarounds were required. Also, make sure you run it in Windows 3.2 compatibility mode. Windows 10 or 11 weren't even a spec on the horizon at the time. Video cutscenes are as to be expected for the time. Lots of compression, so if it doesn't have to move, the game uses as much of the previous frame as it can and still look okay. Gameplay. Controls have a learning curve for me because it uses the old same mouse button to do everything format. So if you select a unit, you have to use the left mouse button. And then you use the same button to give it movement instructions. I'm accustomed to selecting with the left mouse and issuing instructions with the right mouse, and there's no stance mode for your units. They're basically always in defensive, so if they are attacked, they will attack. But, there are some units that can avoid aggro that you have to manually tell them to attack or they will go right past them. The AI can be brutal. Like I said, I had to change my normal defensive to offensive strategy because I was constantly being pushed by my opponent. All in all, if you're a fan of Command & Conquer, especially Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 and Tiberium Wars, I think you'll really enjoy Emperor Battle for Dune. So once again, we come to the end of our video. One programming note. Since there is more than likely going to be at least 6 months to a year before Dune Awakening comes out, I'm going to start doing deep dives into different aspects of the lore of the Dune universe. I plan on covering things like the war against the thinking machines, the founding of the Bene Gesserit, the origin of the major houses in play in the Dune universe, and things like that. After all, if you're going to play a game set in a universe with an already deep and rich background, it's good to understand how things got to be where they are when you enter the story, right? Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe for more. Share it around so more people can enjoy it if you did. And comment anything you want me to talk about in an upcoming video. I'll give you credit if I use your suggestion. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both being at CPTJamesTDuck, and also follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/CPTJamesTDuck, which is where, as of right now, I plan on streaming all of my gameplay of Dune Awakening if and when I can stream tests and when it finally goes live. Until next time, always remember that fear is the mind killer.